So, this episode of Corner Stories contains some very sensitive and very, touchy subject matter. More specifically, bullying. Dealing with bullies in school has always been sort of on and off for me. It started in middle school, and the way it happened was, how do I put it? The first time I got bullied in middle school was over a collectible token. You know, like how some museums will sell funny-looking coins? Well, there's this one museum that's actually an old battleship called the USS Lexington, and I went there a while back in the 5th grade. My brother had went there before me, and he got a token with the Lexington printed on it. So I decided to, he gave it to me essentially, and I took it to middle school to show it to everyone. This one kid, this big kid, I think he was in 7th or 8th grade. I was very young at the time, like 11. And what happened was, he liked the coin. He wanted to essentially get the coin from me. So he tried many attempts to steal the coin, even holding a pencil up to my hand, threatening to cut my hand open if I didn't give him the coin. Of course, within the span of an entire gym period, I managed to stay away from him. And when I told the teacher about it, you want to know what the fuck she told me? She said, well, you shouldn't have bought the coin from home. And that's where I have to call bullshit. That's where I have to call fucking bullshit. He threatened to cut my hand with a pencil. And you're not gonna do jack shit about that? You're only mad at me because I brought the fucking coin from my house? God, I can't stand gym teachers anymore. This next time, he ran into me about a week later, actually pinned me up against the wall and cussed me out over the coin. I said, sorry mate, I gave it to somebody else. I lied. I left the fucking thing at home because I didn't want to deal with that jackass again. Sorry for my unhinged rant earlier, but can you blame me in that situation? Being 11 years old and having your, any part of your body threatened with being cut because of a stupid coin? I would hate for my life to sink that low, especially over a museum token. But anyways, the next time I got bullied, we still don't know who actually threw the backpack. I think one of my relatives who actually went to middle school with me found out who threw the backpack at me, but essentially what it was after gym class one time, and I was going through the backpacks, and I decided to act all goofy. Some motherfucker threw a backpack at my head. I'm not sure what was in the backpack, but it was sharp enough to knock me unconscious and cause my head to start bleeding erratically. I don't know where the scar is. I'll show you my eyebrows. Somewhere on this one or this one. I can't remember where the scar is. I hated it, and apparently the relative who had gone to school with me, I'll call him Anthony. So Anthony, he used to go to school with me from middle school all the way to high school, and he apparently found out who threw the backpack and beat them up, which, good on you. If you're watching this, good on you. It was something. It was really something. I would consider that a form of bullying, but at the same time, I'd consider that physical assault, or assault with a deadly weapon at least, because my head was gushing blood. Like, all over my face was just a big blood stain. All over the floor, I was bleeding. All over the sink, I was being rushed to. The nurse's office, there was blood on the floor. I broke down in science class. When somebody had asked me what happened, I broke down and started crying. And you know what the fucking science teacher said? He said, oh, he'll have to deal with it later when he gets home. Sorry for my cussing and my sudden outburst. But this one is also from middle school, and it was from a friend I knew. His name I won't give out, but he was a kind kid, a kind-hearted kid. Was from Tennessee, actually, and every time he would get bullied, he would stand up for himself, and I commended him for that, because, you know, bully victims are usually just told to, hey, tell someone else, don't deal with it. But he had the balls to stand up for himself, and I respect him for that. I genuinely respected him for that. The last time I saw him was the 7th grade, around 2016 or so, and I haven't seen him since. He told me that he was moving back to Tennessee. So, if you're watching this, I hope you're doing well, buddy. I really hope you're doing well. This last bit of bullying from about high school was actually from a friend of mine. He had shaven his head clean, and it was the last period. The high school I went to, you had 7 periods, and it was the last period there. It was the last class of the day, and they were mocking him because he had shaved his head. And making fun of him because of it. It was messed up, to say the least. I could see that he was starting to look sad. I fucking had enough. I remembered my friends from middle school being bullied. I remember when I was bullied in middle school. I went unhinged. I bottled up all my anger in that moment and just shouted, belittled, even mocked the bullies that were making fun of him. It was something I, to this day, am barely proud of. I still think I'm better than that, but at the same time, could you blame me in the fucking situation I was in? I had had enough up to that point. I cursed at them. I think I cursed at them. I can't really remember. That happened a while back, I want to say about 5 years ago or so, when I was like fresh in high school, like a freshman. I think I had just turned 15. But I had had enough up to there and just fucking yelled at them, stood up to them. And I even made comparisons. Since he had shaved his head, I was like, what if he had cancer? What if he was dying and had cancer? Would you still make fun of him? And the reason I had mentioned the cancer thing was because around that time, a close relative had actually passed away from cancer. My dad was actually very close with her. It was his sister, my aunt, or my tia. And that's what happened. I just stood up to him. And the substitute teacher that was there, because our regular teacher was actually, I think, giving birth around that time. Our substitute teacher that was there had actually said, congratulations on doing that. I felt proud, and I still somewhat feel proud. But anyways, we're going to go to the last time I got bullied in school before I graduated. It was 10th grade. I was in art class using a sponge as part of an art piece for a project I was working on. This girl had come up to me and snatched the sponge away, so I was like, hey, could you give it back? And she was being mean and you know, spiteful. I didn't like that, and I just told her, hey, please give it back. And she kept being rude, and some people were actually egging her on to keep doing it. So, I had, I essentially told her to fuck off. I had written something like that on the back of the sponge. that I was working on as a way to just tell her to screw off, and she saw the sponge and she got even more spiteful and started being mean to me more. And at that point, I was about to snap and tell her off. I was close to snapping. I was clenching my fist on the desk, fucking kneeing the desk from underneath. I was going to snap at her. I was going to yell at her. And it was something I wasn't proud of. At that moment, bottling up anger. I didn't want to repeat the same thing I had the previous year because I still feel like kind of an ass in that situation for just getting loud. Not standing up for yourself. Standing up for yourself is a good thing, but I feel like I would kind of be an ass for getting loud. But eventually, somebody had actually noticed and told the teacher. But you want to know what happened this time? Something that has never happened before. The teacher did something. The teacher had called up, I think, the vice principal, and she got taken out of class, and I think she got detention or something like that. I was hoping for suspension, but at best, detention would have been better. Or detention is still a little better, but I was still hoping for suspension. But at the time, yeah, that was just so fucking satisfying to see her get her goddamn comeuppance. So, I'm sure this episode of Corner Stories is extremely long, and I apologize for that. But I just wanted to tell you about all those times I've been bullied or have seen my friends getting bullied in school. Sorry if I went a little unhinged on some moments. Those are bad memories in my book. This has been NRG0277 with Corner Stories, and I'll see you later.